What up, nerds? It's Jason here from Custom Cans, and this week we're going to be showing how to fit the final Edition XS supergrills, which we've been working on for the last 6 months. So we will go from this, your stock, standard, boring Edition XS to, ooh, nicely modified Edition XS, tuned closer to the Arya organic. Fitting is going to be pretty straightforward. As you can see, I've already done one side, so we're just going to do the other side. This is my pair, which we did all the development on, and it has been pulled apart many times. It's a little bit loosey-goosey, but the theory will be the same. But everything inside, I might be missing a screw or two. I don't know, we'll see. Right, so what you want to do is, first off, remove the earpad. Then underneath you will see a plethora of screws. They all need undoing. I think there's probably 8. Is there? So just do that. Just work your way around. So you need a small Phillips screwdriver to undo these. This is, I promise, the last video on these in a while. But yeah, we've just changed the design ever so slightly since the prototype one, which we stuck out in a previous video. These are the final retail ones. So I just thought I'd do a final video just showing how to install them for anyone that buys them. And if you're interested, afterwards we'll go through the frequency plots, show you what changes we've made. So basically we've used these to tune the HiFiMan Edition XS so they sound more like the Arya organic. They've been out to quite a few people already. So far we've got a lot of good feedback, so I think we've done a good job, but it's been a much longer and more difficult project than I had imagined. Yeah, so I had a look at the first video went out when we first started the project, and I think that's 7 months ago now. So yeah, so it's been a long old project. I forgot to say, one of the main reasons that it was delayed for so long is we had to save up the money to get a new printer. So we've got the Bamboo Labs Carbon X1, which is chugging away there. And yeah, we wanted to do that just so we could ensure they come out in a really high quality. And it's also a very difficult print to print, so we needed a top printer to do it. It's been amazing. It's a great piece of kit. So once you've got those off, you can remove this ring. This is in 2 parts, but they normally stay together to excuse the noisy bin lorry outside. So yeah, so keep those bits together. Then what you want to do is press on the grill at the top here, and the whole grill and driver will pop out the top, and then push the socket through there, and this will all come out in one unit. Put that to one side carefully, that's the expensive part. Now then you take your super grill, and these have these little alignment pins in here, and there is a chance that they're going to snap off in the post. I wouldn't worry about it too much. If they're there, it's nice. If not, I've left these little cones down beneath them which will align the driver nicely. So it's not a major thing if they snap off, but yeah, we're trying to package them better, but some of the postal services might squash these and snap them. So don't worry too much if you've got some snap pins in the box. Just they're mainly cosmetic, mainly just to help you align things a little bit more easily. So what you do is take your super grill and pop it into the housing and press it into place. There's a lip that will stop it from going too far. Just make sure it's pressed in all the way around. Then remove your original grill. You've got to watch out. There are a couple of gaskets on the outside of this that might come away. Mine have all kind of stuck together, but these could come away. Just make sure they're all still in there and aligned, because they're supposed to still be in there. So what we're going to do is put the socket in first, down the bottom there. Get that through the hole, and then gently kind of just wiggle this, and you'll feel it align itself with the super grill. The two will become one. When two become one. Spice Girls. Once that's all in there, we can clip this jobby on. So put that back in, clip it around, and if you end up with a gap at the bottom here by the socket, it's because the socket's poking out this way too far. What you want to do is press on the socket while you get that bottom bit in, and then clip it all around. That will lock it all into place. Next we're going to put the screws back in, and we want to do them in kind of a star pattern, so do the opposite side. So do this side, then that side, then this side, then that side, just so that it tightens up nicely all around. If you do it all one side first, it might misalign the super grill slightly. So yeah, we'll do it in a star pattern. Get the top locked in opposite the socket first, then one down the bottom somewhere near the socket, and then the 2 side ones, and then work your way around from there. So I'm just going to flip this over so I can get to the screw. Yes, taking apart these HiFiMans, they got so many screws in. I did buy an electric screwdriver to do it, but it just didn't have the torque. It's annoying. Yeah, I really think maybe if I'm very bored, perhaps I should design a really good mini electric screwdriver. I don't know. But yeah, the ones that I've tried, the little pen ones, they just do not have the torque necessary to do and undo enough screws. Oh yeah, top tip, when you're screwing these back together, what I would do is when you get the screw in, get that out of the way, I would turn it backwards, lefty-loosey, anti-clockwise, until you feel it drop down into the thread. It'll go click, and then do it up. That way you won't end up cross-threading the plastic that's in there. It's not a disaster if you do that, but yeah, it's best with any self-tapping screw. Just back it off until you hear it go click down into the thing, then tighten it up, and it'll stop you from cross-threading the screw. Right, so that is on there. One of the major changes when we went over to the final retail one is you can now buy the outer trim. So as standard, that's fine, that does all the retuning. The outer trim is just a cosmetic piece that goes on the outside there. Makes them look a little bit nicer, a little bit more classy. Yeah, so you can buy just the supergrills for 35, printed already, and then it's another £5 if you want the outer trim. It's up to you whether you're bothered by that kind of thing. I think most people have bought the outer trim with them, so it seems to be a good thing. Then you would put your pad back on. But what I would mention is that when we were doing the mods, as I said, we were trying to match the frequency of these to the Arya Organic. And with the supergrills as standard, you end up with an extra little peak at 12K, which some people found a little bit harsh. I think one person out of the 10 that we sent them out to, but I found it a bit harsh. And one of the testers out of the 10 testers, beta testers, found it a little bit harsh around 12K. And to combat that, we are going to be sending them out with these little strips of Alcantara, and that will stick on in there, and it alters the pad, reduces that peak. If you've got leather pads or sheepskin pads or something like that, you probably won't get that problem. It's the original pads that are causing the issue, and this is kind of a possible solution. You don't have to stick this on. I'd have a listen without this, see what you think, and then if you find the treble just a little bit too harsh, maybe do this. What you're going to need to do is mark a line about 40mm in, it's about 4 centimeters. Mark yourself a line. Mark that on that Alcantara. And we found that the sticky on this stuff is a little bit too sticky. If you stick it directly on, it'll go on there nice and firmly, but then if you pull it off afterwards, it'll take off the shiny coating from the inside of the pads and make the pads look a bit tatty. It doesn't really affect anything, but they don't look as nice. If you're thinking of putting it in and removing it, we have a possible solution for that. What you're going to have to do is remove the backing. Now this stuff's incredibly sticky, so I'll just hold it carefully. Remove the backing. There we go. I'm just going to pin that down with a pen so I can get my thumb unstuck. And then take the paper backing that you had, take about 1 centimetre off the side of it, and probably a couple of centimetres off the end, and then stick this back in the centre of the Alcantara strip. And what that will mean is that you haven't got as much of that sticky exposed. It's not going to be as stuck, and you should be able to pull it off without any issues. And you'll notice with the pad you have a thin side and a fat side, and we're going to stick it around the inside of the fat side there, so it goes behind the ear. The 40mm-ish, 4 centimetre-ish mark that you've got on there, that wants to line up with the seam at the bottom, so we'll put that in. So it's just lined up with the seam at the bottom, and I'm going to stick it around the edge just below this seam here. So just below, about 1 millimetre below the seam rather than actually on the seam. Otherwise, if you put it on the seam, as the pad flexes, it'll come unstuck. So just below, some happy little clouds. And what you want to do is stick one side on and then press it into place like this and just keep squeezing your way around, and that'll take up any slack that's on there. Just work my way all the way around, just squeezing the pad as I go, gently massaging it into place. Stick that right there. Alright, so that's all the way around the fat side, so you'll end up with a bit that hasn't got any Alcantara on it at the top there. And then you can probably just put a load of relief cuts around the edge with some scissors. Now then, make sure an adult is present when using scissors. That's, safety. Just cut around there. Okay, and then you can stick that round the back of the pad. And all that's doing is basically just blocking up the holes on the inside of the pad, so not as much sound can get into the pad, and that'll increase your bass ever so slightly and reduce that that 12K peak. So if you have modded, so once you've got your pad modded or unmodded, just click that back into place. And it's very important to make sure that it's clicked in all the way around. If you leave an air gap, it will mess with the tuning. You will get a little hump in the bass, about 40 hertz, so you'll get a little bit more bass, but it's not good quality bass. So clip it in all the way around. But if you are seeking maximum bass, you could try just unclipping one clip and see how that sounds, probably at the back. Just unclip one clip. That gives you a little boost in the bass. So there we have our modified pads on there. You'll also notice that we fitted our custom cans head strap, which has been incredibly popular. We've sold loads of those. I don't know how many HiFiMans there are in existence, but a decent percentage of them have now got our leather head straps on. We get through loads of them. So that's another nice mod you can do. I think we've got another video on that. I'll stick a link to the description below. It's pretty straightforward. It's just some sticky pads that go on there. It goes over the inside. These are made of leather. We are working on a vegan one, but we're not quite there yet. We're still testing materials. We've tested loads. We haven't yet found a vegan alternative that is as good as leather. This is a shame, but you know, these things will change. We'll get better at this kind of thing. So let's just go through the graphs, just so you can see where we're at, what's happened, why you should be fitting this kind of thing. So yes, as I said, the aim was to make them a bit more like the Arya Organic. So if I get these up on screen, on our rig, this is the stock graph of a pair of Edition XSs, and it's a nice looking graph. It's not bad. And then this is the Arya Organic, and as you can see, we've got slightly higher in the bass, sub-bass region, but the main noticeable thing is that we've got a big old peak here between sort of 8 and 9K, and then another one up around 16K, which gives it that detail, and the 16K one, so the 9K one gives it that detail, and the 16K one gives it the air there. We've also got some additional energy between sort of 11 and 14K. It's higher than the XS. So with our supergrills and unmodified pads, stock pads, what you'll notice is the bass is roughly the same as the original XS, but we've dropped down the mids a little bit, which will make the bass feel higher relatively. If you matched it up in the mids, you'd have higher bass. And we've also put those peaks in at around 8 or 9K and up around 16K. And again, they're slightly lower because we've lowered the mids. Because we couldn't raise the bass, we basically had to lower everything else to make them sound like the Arya Organic. But one thing that we did do, we managed to get that extra energy between sort of 11 and 14K, but we ended up with a big peak around 12K. So a larger peak around 12K, which is that thing that some people are finding a bit harsh, a little bit sibilant on certain tracks. And then if we modify the pads, if I just take off the stock pair, put on our modified pads graph, you can see that that peak is now gone. So you've got the extra energy that the Arya Organic have got in that area, but without the peak at 12K. But what we've gained is a little hump around 1K here. You push one thing down, another thing goes up. It's pretty tricky. What we are hoping to do is get some different pads made. We're working on it at the moment. We're testing. We've had some samples through, which are looking promising. We're hoping to get some pads for a sensible price, maybe £30 for a set of sheepskin pads that will go with these, that will also help with the tuning a little bit. That's something that can be added on in the future. They're not quite there yet. So you can modify the stock pad, or you can leave it stock. I'll probably have a listen without the modifications to the pad and then see how you get on. If you've got any questions, stick them in the thing. One thing I would say is when we were printing off all the test prints, we ended up with a load that we were testing out different printing methods and different materials and stuff. We've got a random green one, we've got a sparkly one. It seems a shame to throw these away. We can't really sell them. So if you have a set of Edition XSs and you want to give this mod a go, stick a message in the thing below and we'll pick a few names. It depends how many people respond. I think we've got 4 or 5 sets. We'll pick a few names. We'll send out some of these test prints that we did. They'll work fine. They just look a bit weird, some of them. And we've also got a few of these head straps which are basically failed. We've got one failed but serviceable vegan one. So if you're a vegan and you want this set, ask for the vegan option and we'll send you out that vegan test head pad. So yes, we've got a few sets of bits, so we can stick a comment down below if you want a set of these and you've got a set of XSs. But what would be great is if you do take one of these, if you then come back to the video after you've fitted them and give a little review, say what you think of the sound, how you think the install went, just to give some other people some feedback, which always kind of helps. So yeah, so we got those to give away. What next? So this has been a big project. As I said, it's taken nearly 7 months Next, I'm going to be working on the stellar driver for the Beyerdynamic headphones, so the Pro X range, the Pro X 700, 900 and 770 Pro X all use the same stellar driver, which we haven't tried tuning yet, so that is going to be my next thing, because we've got, I don't know, I've got like £10,000 worth of them stuck in the stock that we need to do something with. So yeah, so we're going to be retuning those, and then we'll be bringing out our own modded version of those, and we'll be selling the mods. But that's going to be a couple of months down the line, just if you're interested in what's coming next. So I hope that was interesting. I really hope you like these. If you buy a set of them, so far everyone's been really happy with them. But obviously if you get these, I'd love your feedback. But yeah, it's been really awesome hanging out. Like and subscribe. Obviously if you enjoyed this, hit like, and if you like this kind of thing, subscribe. We've been looking at our figures on YouTube, and we've noticed that people that are subscribed versus unsubscribed, the subscribers on average are at least 20% cooler. I don't know whether that's because cool people subscribe, or whether by subscribing us you become cooler, but you can't mess with facts and figures. Anyway, I will see you guys again. Jason out.